Hi, welcome back to That's So Nova. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to do a tutorial for the Basic Betty from Clutches and Couture Designs. This bag is literally what the name is. It's a very basic and simplistic bag with a lot of skill building and fun things that I've never done before, like a strap being part of the strap being the gusset. It comes together really beautifully and it's a fast project. And if you're looking to make a quick holiday gift for someone, I think this bag might do the trick. And you can always add and minus things that you like. So what we're going to go to is we're going to start with page 1. Now on page 1, we have the whole table of contents, and we're going to learn about materials, stitch length, cutting chart, the whole 9 yards. Again, this bag pattern is super simplistic and you're going to love it. So you can use faux leather, vinyl, leather, fabric, cork, or canvas for the exterior body as well as the gusset straps, which I personally like. The hardware is a 2-inch slide guider. Now, with that being said, I want to not throw pins. I want to assure you that you can, if you're getting into modification and you're afraid, this is probably like the perfect bag to dabble with. Today I'm going to be using a different size gusset strap because I didn't have a 2-inch strap. I actually had found, I got this ginormous buckle. When I say it's ginormous, you're going to see. I got this buckle that had a little tongue depressant. And when I got it, I remember talking to my friend, like, what am I going to use this with? There's no straps that are big enough. This strap is actually 1.75 inches, 1 3/4, and it's not 2 inches. So I adjusted the gusset strap to fit this. You can do that with a 1.5 inch. You would need to just multiply that by 4. With the 2-inch straps, you multiply it by 4 and it's 8. So little basic little math, it will be a smaller gusset, but you can still make it feasible for what you got. I know there's a hardware shortage right now because a lot of things come overseas and a lot of things are getting held up in customs and at the port. So if you want to make something and you're waiting on hardware and you know it's going to take a long time and you just still want to make it, this is the perfect time to start modifications. So with that, we're going to need a 9-inch zipper and a zipper pull, a magnetic snap, and a strap in if you have it, or one that you're going to make. The seam allowance throughout the whole entire pattern is 1/4 of an inch, except for 2 places. When we first start sewing the gusset, it's going to be 3/8 of an inch on both sides, and then any top stitching is 1/8 of an inch. I highly recommend you reading the whole entire pattern before you process it. If you're one of these people that are visual learners, similar to me and pretty much everyone in the world, then watch a YouTube video and follow along with the pattern, and you can make notes. As you can see, if you're looking at my pattern, there's purple markings literally everywhere. I have written on every single page, and it's important for you to figure out what works for you. So let's start the sewing. Okay. So we got down to that. There are a very basic cutting chart. There's like 7 things to cut out, and that's it. And it is beautiful. So when you prep, you need to interface all your pieces. And the first thing we're going to start working on is this gusset. I am using Alison glass fabric, and I'm going really super colorful, like dark rainbows. If you know me, I love rainbow. I love gunmetal. And if it's like a sad rainbow, like with darker colors, I'm all about that. So you're going to you have 2 straps that are in the cutting directions. You're going to take your straps from the measurement and you're going to interface it. And I interfaced mine with Sewfuse. And then you're going to iron it and have it close. Now I'm going to help you on this part if you're doing fabric like me. If you're doing vinyl, you're not interfacing it. If you're doing fabric, what I highly recommend is when you interface it, to leave a portion of it not interfaced, so that way it won't be as bulky when we merge these 2 things together. So we're going to be on page 6. You're going to fold them lengthways in half, and you're going to clip if you're using vinyl. If you're using fabric like I am, then you iron it together. So we're going to have both straps right now, and we're going to get a marking tool, because these two pieces are going to be sewn together. And let me trim this up. These two pieces are going to be sewn together with a 1/2 inch mark, 1/2 inch seam allowance. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this seam up, and we're going to cut the interior not all the way to the corner. So we're going to leave like 1/8 of an inch so that the fold is still there. It'll help reduce the bulk. Just the interior. It's actually quite brilliant. And so like you can see, I cut this, and I have like 1/8, or just like a little bit, so it's not going into the fold, if that makes sense. So that it just reduces the bulk, because now when you fold it down, you only have 2 layers versus the 4, and that's why I didn't interface it as much, because when we sew the seam allowance together, the interfacing will butt up and it will secure it. So I'm going to cut again. Leaving that fold part. If my scissors want to cut, that'll be amazing. Okay, so we're going to sew this seam allowance at a 1/2 inch together. So I am going to get my ruler, and I'm going to draw a line for the 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to use a chalk pencil. It's pink, and I'm hoping it shows up. If not, let's see. Of course, my white one just like has legs and just disappears. So I'm using the pink, and I have a 1/2 inch. That shows up at least on camera. And I'm going to place this on top of it. And you could put a couple pins, clips. I'm just going to grab a couple pins. Or clips. It'll be easier with clips. I like to clip on either side of the seam allowance. I mean, either side of the strap, so that way the seam allowance stays stable. And then just like a clip in the middle. And we're going to stitch. And go back to the stitch length. I'm going to use a 2.5 because I'm using cotton, or 3 if it's super bulky. I like the way 2.5 stitch looks. It's a weird combination for me. And make sure you back stitch at the beginning and end without having your string break like mine did. Okay, I'm not going to have another thread episode, I'm hoping. Because we all know when I sew, somehow, some way, my thread just wants to like pop out. Grab this thread real quick. Of course, my bobbin wants to act up. That's how it rolls sometimes. You just go with it. Put my bobbin back in. Okay. So as soon as I thread this, I'm going to hopefully catch the bobbin. Okay, then we're going to go back and stitch, hold your tails. Okay, so we have our, we just sewed our 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then we're going to take the strap and we are going to top stitch these two seams down. You can, I have my iron, but if you don't have your iron, you can just roll it, press it with your fingers, or use a poly roller like I am. And then just for, safe measures, you can just clip it to make sure that it stays flat. You can use double-sided tape. You can do an array of different things. Whatever works for you. We're going to top stitch at both edges of the seam at 1/8 of an inch on the seam line, just to make sure. And it gives it like a pretty finish. What I like to do is I like to make sure I have my needle down, and then I'll just rotate the strap a little bit, a couple stitches, and then go down the other side. Okay. Okay. All right, so we have that all squared away. Now we're going, it even says this in the instruction, now we're going to sew top stitch the strap 3/8 of an inch on both sides. She even says it's going to be the longest strap of your life because there are two straps merging as one. Make sure you follow the 3/8 of an inch. So I don't have a 3/8 of an inch marker on my plate, so I measured 3/8 of an inch and then used some painter's tape just so I could follow it. With top stitching like this, you can go slow and take your time, or you could just let it fly if you're comfortable. Do whatever makes you feel best. Back stitch the beginning of end. I'm going to top stitch at 3 mLs, a stitch length of 3. You can go 3.5, 4, depending on what materials you have. Okay, so if you have to stop with the needle down. I'm just following that painter's tape. It's gonna get a little heavier because you're going over that seam. I'm using a 9014 needle, Oregon. I'm using 40 weight thread. Oh, and if you're like me and the first strap is like 55 inches, I had to merge two pieces to get the first strap that way. And I merged it with it using a diagonal angle so that it doesn't create as much bulk in one area. You can clip or pin. Mine's is this is really pressed nicely, so I really didn't have to clip it, because I took the time and I really pressed it. Okay, so we're going to go down the other side. I'll just hop over a few stitches, put my needle down, and then like one more stitch. Perfect. And I just throw the strap over my shoulder and I'm letting it fly. I'm using my hands to place it down so that way it doesn't go past that green tape. you get to the end, make sure you back stitch. Okay, so I let it fly a lot. It's just my thing. I feel like I mess up when I go really, really slow, but everyone has a different, pace, a sewing pace. And if you take your time, if you go fast, it's really up to you. So we top stitched both sides at 3/8 of an inch, longest strap of our life. And now we're going to put the strap aside for just a moment and we're going to grab our piece. Okay, so the pattern piece has like areas where it has where you're going to do your pleats. This is the back panel. So I just wanted to show you up close is that you're going to have both sides. We're going to do the pleats first. On the back panel, it has no, there's no pleats on the top, but the front panel there is. So we're going to go over that. I interfaced mine with a canvas on the back versus Decoville Light because I just wanted to have a little bit of body, but kind of slouchy. So let's do this one. So here's my two pieces. I did the markings. I have my pleat markings right here. And what we're going to do, there's 3 lines. We're going to try to connect the first two. We're going to connect the first and the third line together, making sure that the middle line is directly in the middle. And then we're going to fold it we're going to fold it away from the raw seam, the raw edge. The straight edge. And I'm going to pop a pin in it. And I'm going to do the same here. 3 lines. I like to just do the middle line to make sure I have it perfectly in the middle. Make sure I line up those 2. And then I'm going to fold it towards going this way. Going towards the right, not the left. It forms like an S shape. Pop a pin. And the bottom of these have pleats too. It has 1 pleat on each side. So I crease it, make sure the first and the third line are together. And the middle line's popped directly in the center. And then fold it back on itself from the third line. I don't know why I marked this in black, in the fabrics black. That was definitely not the wisest decision, but we work with what we do. You can do the pleats either way, by the way. You don't have to go to the left or right. You could just choose whichever way. Just make sure that it matches the other side so that it's easier for you when it looks more aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, I'm really mad that I went towards black lines. That makes no sense. I could have used a Crayola marker. I have a tendency of using those when I'm with fabric because they wash out and they come in so many colors. All right, so I'm going to tack down these pleats with the 1/8 of the inch seam allowance. And again, this is I love pleats and bags. It gives the bag some shape. But I like the fact that I think this is a great learning opportunity because I think a lot of people don't want to do pleats, and it's pretty cool. They're pretty cool to use. I'm using pins and cotton. I would use clips, splinter clips on if you're using vinyl or of course leather. All right, and then we're doing it on this one real quick. 1/8 of an inch. Believe it or not, we're almost halfway done. Now, I really love testing this bag because sometimes I like really labor intensive bags like the Bianca, and other times I like something that has like this beautiful simplicity to it that I can make real quick. Or like I think these bags will do really well at craft fairs or bazaars, or just giving as a gift, or making myself something. Treat yourself. So we're going to take these two, have the straight edges going together, and we're going to sew this down at 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to pop some clips in here. Popping a clip on the top and the bottom. I really like this pattern because it also doesn't use a whole lot of interfacing. So if you've been wanting to experiment with different interfacing, I feel like this will be the bag. We're going to do this at 1/4 of an inch. Really trim down your threads. Open this up, and I'm going to press the seam open real quick. So what I like to do is I like to finger press it or use a poly roller to roll out that seam real quick. And then I'll hit it with the iron because we're going to top stitch this real quick. I keep saying real quick, but you know, it may take some time because I actually take a really long time pressing. And definitely just press that seam open. Even if you're using vinyl, finger press it, double-sided tape, whatever works for you. Just press it open from the front. And I'm just the reason I'm pressing it open from the front is that in case I accidentally pressed in a crease, I can correct that right now. All right. Put this down without burning myself. Okay. And then I'm going to top stitch this. One-eighth of an inch down the seam. When I get to the end, I like to, because it's cotton, I like to bar tack, like go back and forth a few times at the edge so that way that the end of the bag won't separate. Like sometimes that happens when I have cotton, like when I'm merging two pieces, like it's like the last 1/4 of an inch of the bag did not get caught in the back stitch for some odd reason. As you can see, this bag has a lot of shape already into it, and which I find spectacular, especially because we're not using a lot of interfacing. All right, so we have this top part, which is shown on page 10. And if you have a logo, she recommends putting it 2 inches above the end. So I'm going to do that real quick. I have a logo. I believe I put it in here. I want to say I did, but I don't see it. Alright, so let me see if I can grab one real quick. I thought I put one in there. You know how like every time you do something like start a bag, like a piece goes missing or whatever? I always have like something mysteriously go missing. Alright, I have a logo. Yay! Okay. So 2 inches, I'm going to go up from the center seam, measure 2 inches. Got my trusty Westcott ruler. And I'm going to grab a chalk pencil and just draw a line there without the thread. It just literally just broke off. Okay. So when I do my logo, I like to use glue to ensure that all the label stays down. I use glue for a lot of stuff, so I'm gluing this piece of vinyl right above the 2-inch mark. It's going to look like a belly button for me. And then I take my nameplate, and I got my nameplates from Alibaba. And I'm going to mark my areas. I'm just like not having all the supplies. I'm going to mark my areas where I'm going to make slits, similar to what we're going to do with the magnetic snaps. You can use 1 or 2 magnetic snaps on this too. Or none. I mean, if you don't have it, you can not do it. It won't, your bag won't have that extra closing, but that's fine. I don't know about you, but when I wear a bag, my bag is always open unless I'm going on like a rail or something, or it's like public transportation. But 9 times out of 10, my zippers are open in my bag. I put a little bit of glue on my nameplate. I don't know why. I don't like shifting, I think. That's the only thing I can think of. And then I'm going to take a washer. More stuff isn't dropping. That's about right. I'm going to take a washer. Yeah, all the washers just dropped. Like, all of them. Like, the whole thing. And then my nameplate fell in the trash. If you don't know already, I'm super clumsy. I'm going to make sure my nameplate looks good in there. Then I'm going to bend the prongs down. And I take duct tape and place it on the back so that the nameplate won't rub against the interior fabric and, you know, cause friction. I also sometimes I get craft foam that is adhesive. You can get it at Joann's or Michael's or whatever, and I sometimes put it on that too. Because sometimes, I don't know, I feel like my duct tape is never strong enough. Okay, I already used the glue. We put the nameplate on there with like this big accident of everything falling. Now we're going to get our gusset pieces, and we are going to put this on. All right, so this is the edge that we sewed down the hem. We sewed down the seam. Sorry, somebody's phone had to turn on, and you can use a stabilizer here, like a Decaville or anything that's adhesive. I'm going to be using this canvas that has glue on it. I'm finding my center. I'm drawing my center, and it'll just give it a little bit of instruction, a little bit of structure. I can't talk today, but without causing too much bulk. You can get adhesive canvas online. I think I got this on Amazon, to be honest with you. I used it for projects for backing or something, for like a arts and crafting, and I found that I kind of liked it for stabilizer. So it just gives this area extra stabilization and we're good to go. Okay, so we're gonna grab our exteriors and we're going to start putting this together. So the area that we stitched the seams together and then we stitched down, that's going to be our center. Now you need to figure out how you want your strap. Do you want your strap to be coming from the left or the right? I prefer it coming from the right. So I'm going to put seam to seam together. And starting out a lot of clips. We're going to start clipping this together. Take your time with the clipping. You want to let your bag go with the curves of it. You don't want ripples. I have a tendency also putting the opening where we sewed 3/8 of an inch, but we still have an opening. It has no raw edges, but I put it into where the gusset piece is going to be. I have no idea why. You don't have to do it. It just, for some reason, makes some kind of weird sense to me. Now we're going to have a stop and start place at a 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this, and I see the 1/2 inch mark right here. I'm just going to transfer it over to the gusset side so I know I'm starting and stopping and back stitching heavily at that point. I know some of the steps you might be feeling like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Just trust the process. Jacqueline is shifted. That wasn't a good example of interfacing right there. Jacqueline has a really cool process, and just follow it through. You're going to really like the end results of your bag. I like the fact that you can pretty much use any base. Like, I kind of want to make a cork one. I did make a black vinyl one, and it sewed through amazingly. And again, I thought this was the coolest thing ever. I never seen a bag gusset made from a strap. So imagine if you have like really cool webbing, like Tulip Pink has like a new webbing that's out. Like, this would make an awesome bag with Tulip Pink webbing. The possibilities are endless. Like, you can really have some fun. And again, we have that 1/2 inch mark, and we just want to transfer it over to the other side so we know where to stop and start. So we're going to go around this 1/4 of an inch all the way around, stopping and starting and back stitching heavily over at the place where we transferred the mark at. And it's 1/4 of an inch that we're doing. And let me just move some of this stuff out of the way so I'm not cleaning stuff. And then just take your time. It's not a heavy curve, so you totally got this. You have to stop, try to have your needle down, so that way you don't lose, I want to say the rhythm. I know it sounds weird, but that's how I think of it. It's kind of like when you're in cruise control in your car and you're just like cruising at 80 or 75 or whatever you're doing, and you're just cruising. And as soon as if you put on the brakes, or if you have to like maneuver a swerve, it can kind of mess up the rhythm of how you're just like going with the car. It's how I kind of feel like you feel like it. It's like it's just a rhythm. Stopping and starting at that 1/2 inch mark. All right. And we're going to pin this other side. Believe it, like I'm telling you, when you see how fast this back comes together, you're going to be like, Jacqueline, stop. This is amazing. So we're going to do our center seams, matching them. And we just start clipping. You already can see how the back's coming together. It comes together really smart. It's like I'm still thrown off that we're sewing the gusset on a strap, but that is literally the beauty of this pattern. If you're going to interface with Decoville Light on your fabric, I definitely recommend not to interface on the like 1/4 of an inch up, so that way it can help reduce the bulk and it makes the fabric more pliable on the gusset. If you use Decoville Light all the way through to the bottom, it won't try to, it's going to be harder to try to manipulate the curves. Take the 1/4 of it, not the 1/4 of an inch, the 1/2 inch seam allowance. Stop and start, and bring that transfer mark to the other side so you can see where to stop and start. And just bring that over, stop and start mark. Chalk is your best friend if you're using, you can use chalk on vinyl too. I use it all the time, or you can use a Tandy leather pen on cork, vinyl, or leather, of course. And just ease the gusset in. I take my time with clips, and I have like a million clips. It's okay. Don't let anyone judge you off of your clip game. I'm just saying. All right, so holding your tails. Let's see, tails to the back. Stopping and starting at that 1/2 inch mark. Back stitching really well. Let's go. Back stitching well. All right. Cutting all the threads. And then you turn it inside out. Right sides out. I'm sorry, not inside out. Right sides out. And you're just poking out the corners. It's only 2 major ones, so this is like the bag's already really coming together. I really kind of like how this has the different color stripes. All right, so once we have that, we're going to put that aside and we're going to grab our lining pieces. Let's see, where did my envelope go? Oh. 1 second. So we're going to put this aside and grab our lining pieces. Oh, I thought I had a zipper. I'm just like apparently not together. Let's see. All right, right there. I'm going to use this pull. Okay, so I am using this. It's a glitter fabric. It's really heavy. It's from Inline Bags. It's one of my favorite things to line a bag with. So on this, you're gonna grab your zipper pockets and lining pieces. She gives exact measurements. I'm sorry, when everything dropped, I have glycerin. I'll talk about that later. And it fell all over everything. That's how it works sometimes. That's why you see spots. So we're gonna take our zipper lining piece, and there's a measurement of how far you're gonna mark it down. Just take a ruler and center it as best as you can, making sure everything lines up. And then we're going to put the measurements that she has on here. And we are going to sew around this box. And I'm going to use, I have a tendency of using a smaller stitch. A smaller stitch when I'm doing zipper pockets. Because I'm not going to lie to you, this part to me is so intimidating. When I see people sewing and they're able to just like not do the side pieces and just cut in the corners and it's perfect, I'm always in awe of that. It's like magic. So I use a smaller stitch length of 2. When I stop, I stop at the needle down, and then I make sure my needle's partially going up before I pivot and go down the sides. Stopping in that area, partially down. Okay, back stitch and not have pins fly everywhere. Man, I'm just like, things are moving today with me all over. Pins, markers, hardware. It's one of those days. All right. So we have that. What I'd like to do is I fold the fabric in half and I just make a slit or snip. Then I go, you could draw your line. I see a lot of people do that, and I do that sometimes. But most of the times I just cut, and then when I'm like a half an inch away, I'll do the V into this by the stitches, but not cutting into the stitches. Make sure you have really sharp scissors for this. I feel like if I use dull scissors, I always cut into, for some odd reason, it just always cuts into the stitching line, and then I'm super frustrated. So from here, what I would do is grab my ironing board, and I would warm this area up. I fold down. I fold this up. Heating also sets the stitching if you're using cloth. If you're using waterproof canvas, you can use heat. I have accidentally melted it, but I've also had great successes with using it on the right side, not the side that's the textured side that has more of the cotton feel to it than the back where it feels like nice and slippery. All right. So then I'm going to turn the pocket. I'm making this more difficult looking than it actually is. Bear with me. I like to do it while it's nice and warm because the fabric's more pliable. And I just roll the seam, make sure that that the seam of this is evenly distributed. Just iron. Make sure I check the front. Nothing. I literally will iron something forever. I am really bad. I feel like ironing can give your bag definitely a more professional look. All right. And then just bring it over to the front and you just make sure that there's no wrinkles and iron it. And just, it sets the stitching when you iron too. All right. So we have that. And I'm going to grab my 2 pocket pieces. Grab my zipper tape. I wanted a colorful zipper tape because I'm using Alison glass. And when I do this, I like to cut my zipper tape like 1.5 or a half inch long, 1 to 2 inches longer than I actually need, so I can slide the zipper on after. We're going to base the back and the front at 1/4 of an inch. I like to start with the bigger piece because that's the longer piece goes towards the back of the bag. Just back stitch. Cut threads, and now I'm going to baste the front of the pockets together. Of course, you could pop a couple clips or pins in there. This glitter fabric doesn't slip like it looks like it does. It like sticks a little bit, so you really don't need that many pins. You can now grab some double-sided tape and you can put it along the top so we can position the pocket better. You can use 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, or you can glue baste it if you don't have tape. Or if your machine gums up a lot, you can use glue, like even like Elmer's glue that they sell at like Target, especially when it's back to school shopping, or Walmart, and you can like set it with heat. and it doesn't gum up your needles as much. I got this double-sided tape off of Amazon, and it is not, it's like not adhering for me. Okay, then we're going to place this pocket on here, and we're going to start, I'm going to start sewing from the back line, and I'm going to back stitch. I'm going to try to go 1/4 of an inch. You can draw on this too, especially if it's like chalk or whatever, go 1/4 of an inch away. From each thing before I pivot and maneuver things around. Okay. You could pull your threads to the back. You can back stitch at this area. It's all personal preference. I actually like back stitching when I'm using like rainbow thread, because the way it like transitions into the next color, you really can't see the back stitching. If I was using like silver or black or whatever, I would have pulled my threads to the back. Okay, I'm going to cut the zipper so that it's a nice clean finish, because it was kind of really wobbly. And I'm going to put this zipper head on here. This is a size 5 zipper. The zipper tape is from Zorel Fabric and Hardware. I wanted something super fun. All right, so we have the zipper head on there, and I am going to go up and across and back down to complete the closure of this pocket. My thread just is acting not the best today. All right. Okay. So we have our zipper. It has a nice clean finish in the inside. And now we're going to stitch it close. We're going to go down and hit that little triangle area that we cut when we did the zipper. Make sure you back stitch really well. And we're going to sew the pocket closed. Okay, cutting all the excess. All right, so we are almost done with the lining. We're just going to have to put them together. So we have both pieces. We have a 1/2 inch line that we're going to be using. We're going to start at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and then we're going to go to a 5/8 of an inch to make sure we have a snug lining. So we're going to go all the way around, and when we get to the top, we're going to go back to 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to pop a couple clips in some areas to make sure the bag doesn't shift as much as, you know, help decreasing the shifting. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning of it. Now we're going to start going back to the 1/4 of an inch. And backstitch. We're going to oh, you know what I forgot to put in? The magnetic snaps. Okay. We're going to find our cinchers. I can still do it with this. So sometimes when you're so excited to have a bag to be finished, you forget to make a step. That happens to all of us. So what we're going to do is find our centers on each one separately, and then just make a marking. Of course, that pen doesn't want to work. Okay. All right. I'm going to make a marking. And then I'm going to do that on the other side. And we're going to take this mark and we're going to go down 1.5 inches. Okay. Grab our magnetic snap. And I'm gonna put a piece of Decoville light right at the end of each 1.5 inch mark and just adhere it real quick. Okay. And I like to test the Decoville light just by like seeing if I can remove it with my finger. Make sure I have 2 washers, because somehow, some way, like, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but like when you put in your magnetic snap, one of the washers always seems to disappear. Really weird. Drawing my lines on my washer for my washer. All right. I'm just gonna grab my little utility blade and poke a hole. And do the same thing on the other side, making sure that I'm not going through the other side, so that way it doesn't get all. I have a nice tear. I like to take glue and put it on the holes, especially if I'm using cotton. I even put glue on vinyl. I'm not going to lie to you. Man, this little magnet's strong. Okay. fold through. Okay. Get my little washer. And press it down. And let's see. I just can't find the duct tape, so I'm just going to use 1-inch double-sided tape and put it over the washer and just not peel back the paper, and that also works in this a nice quick stitch too. Do the same thing, go over to this side, put a bead of glue, through the hole. Okay. Put the washer on the back. You can fold out or fold in, whatever your preference is. Some double-sided tape. Bada bing, bada boom. We have a nice, strong magnet that has some anchor. Okay, so we're going to cut the seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch. Do not cut into your stitching. If you do, you can fix it. It just means that your lining will be a little snugger in places. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing. It's just, you don't want it where it's so tight that like it feels like if you throw something in the purse, it just bounces off. Okay, so there is a 1/2 inch mark that you see all around this, and you can use glue, which you're going to see me do right now. You can use double-sided tape, but you can use a bead of glue. Sorry, I put the glue in the wrong area, but it's going to work out, don't worry. I'm going to take the glue and I'm putting it right on the 1/2 inch line. And I grab my little iron and I'm going to fold down because it's such a small, you're folding down to 1/4 of an inch. You're meeting the raw edges to the 1/2 inch line. And see this stitch popped out. I'm just gonna go real quick and back stitch on this. I hate when that happens. It happens to me. It happens if I don't go all the way back where I back stitch off the fabric. All right, so glue. It doesn't have to be a lot. You're just like drizzling it. We're going to fold over and then press. And the heat dries the glue because it's dry heat. And we're going to do the same thing just around it. You can, like I said, you can use 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape, but this is just another method, and it helps tremendously if your machine is like, okay, I do not like double-sided tape because it's sticky, and this glue is now dry heat and it's no longer sticking. So we have that. We're going to press, you can press down this to 1/4 of an inch too, or I'll use double-sided tape just for the sake of the video, but most of the time if I have a bag like this and it's like a small seam, I will use 1/4 of an inch and just press it, because it just, I don't know, it just makes it a little bit easier. You can use double-sided tape, okay, and like finger press. Just going all the way down to the ½ inch opening. And then when I'm using, I like to just roll my double-sided tape just to make sure that it adheres really well. Because sometimes double-sided tape is like a total hit or miss for me. And then I just take it and I peel it. And I just fold it over that 1/4 of an inch. Okay. All right. So we have one side down, and I'm going to do the other. And I'll be right back. Okay, so right now we're at the step where we're going to drop in our lining in our bag. So right here is where you're going to figure out where you want the pocket. Do you want it inside close to you, so that way nobody sees the bag actually has a pocket, you can stick your phone, or do you want it towards the back so it's easier to access? It really is all personal preference. So I'm going to slide my lining inside, cut threads all the way around. I have like a million threads that I still need to cut. And I'm going to match the lining fabric to the seam that you drew the magnet on. You have your center mark there, and I took off some double-sided tape. I'm going to match the seam to seam, and then I'm going to clip. Along with the clipping, I'm placing the lining like 1/8 of an inch under. I'm just really taking my time with that. And the reason why I do double-sided tape, it's an extra layer to make sure that the bag doesn't ship when we're top stitching. Okay, I'm placing some clips. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. And then we're going to start talking about hardware and options. The one thing, like I said, this bag to me is super beginner friendly. It's super everyone friendly, actually. And the possibilities are like limit. I cannot talk today. We have endless possibilities. Matching The line that I drew centers the center. Let's see. Making sure there's no threads. I'm trimming threads along the way. Clipping. Okay. And just clipping, making sure there's no puckers. Okay. So you can see it's a nice, perfect fit. There's not sagging. So what we're going to do is grab our, I can't talk today. We're going to, I think I have my strap in there too, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I can make another one. Okay, so we're going to grab our slider and we are going to feed it through where it's just going through the bar, the bar, and we're going to stick it in the bag. We're just sliding the end of this strap as far as it could possibly go with like a little showing, so that way we can, you basically slide this in to place and you have a nice loop. So let me do that again. I'm gonna slide the fabric into the loop, and it's basically just around this bar clasp. So if you pull the taut, you can see that these two part. You're just putting it in the middle of the bar of the slider. Then we're going to slide it in onto itself inside between, buckling it between the lining and the exterior. And you want to leave a little also like the top stitch, but you want most of the fabric down here. Then I'm going to grab some clips and place it kind of back at an angle so I can hold it down. Now, in the pattern, Jacqueline has you starting and stopping at this, on this side. So you start here, go around, and you stop here. And you would have a small little gap, like it's not very big, it's less than an inch. Now with this, you can hand stitch, like slip stitch the whole closed, or you could put a dabble of glue. Me personally, I have rainbow thread and it matches my exterior, so this is where thread really counts, and that would help make your decision. So I'm going to go all the way across at 1/8 of an inch because you're really not going to notice it, the stitching, because of the simple fact that it's rainbow and the fabric's rainbow. I could have went for black and you wouldn't notice the stitching as well. Now, where you're going to notice the stitching is in the, for me, I chose silver. So you're going to see this rainbow stitching across. You have a choice. You can, again, stop and start where she is, and you can pull off the threads and you can feed them down into the lining. And or you can go all the way around. It's really your choice and it's preference. The pattern does have a small gap, and you just can use glue, or you can whip stitch it if you have fabric like woven. If you're having vinyl, then you could just like use 809, glue it, and like put a couple clips and let it cure, and you're bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Or you can go all the way around like I'm about to do. So we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. So what I usually, when I top stitch, I turn my bags inside out. This is why I use a lot of clips and double-sided tape, because I don't want to mess up the top stitching. So I'm going to squish down my bag, move things out of the way, because we're about to get this top stitching on. And I'm just going to move the strap 1/8 of an inch, back stitch. I like to back stitch on a strap. I don't know, I feel like it has a better anchor that way. You can go for a longer stitch lengths. It all depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I really like that. Like I love a 4 top stitch, but sometimes I like the way a 2.5 looks, especially when you're using variant thread, because you can see the colors transition better, and it just, I don't know, it looks seamless and effortless to me. I have a ginormous buckle, so I'm just going to have to shift things out of the way. I used a different method, a different buckle on my first tester bag. And I might have to actually break the stitch line because this is like such, it's not budging. I used two buckles. Okay. I used 2 buckles on to create my my tester bag. I used 2 sliders to make a buckle. So you take 2 sliders and then you put them together on the bottom and you feed them through like it is a tri-glider. It works. It's pretty handy. Think of it like when in kids' pants they sometimes have like 2 D-rings and then you slide the buckle through. I did that basically. And then make sure I don't top stitch the big one down. I'm just back stitching. I'm gonna go over this. I'm gonna go over the strap one more time. I just want to make sure that everything is secure. You can you could top stitch again at 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Oops, that did not like that. No, she was like, nope, not today, Shover. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna turn this back right sides out. I need to trim threads. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to top stitch this area that has the buckle one more time. I'm gonna go 1/4 of an inch just in that area because even though the sliders fed down into the fabric, I just want to make sure. I'm one of those people that's better safe than I like to be safe than sorry. And my glue just fell. That's about right. Okay. Okay. So we have that all squared away. Man, that's a big plank. We're going to now feed this into it. And we are going to, if you don't have an end cap like I don't, I'm going to create one. I like scrap waterproof canvas or scrap vinyl for this reason. I can create my own strap in. So I'm measuring 1.5 inches with some vinyl. Not vinyl, waterproof canvas. I can't. Man, Shinova, you're not on it. All right. And then I'm going to take some double-sided tape, 1/4 of an inch. And put it on the long edges of the, this is my makeshift tab. I didn't have a cap that could fit this size, so I'm just going to make one. You can use the fabric that you're using, you can use the vinyl that you're using. There's a couple different methods on page 17. Instead of making it 1.5 inches by whatever the strap is, for me, you could do it 2 inches and then have it where it's like doubled. I am putting this on. And then putting this on. And then pressing the sides to fit. I use the double-sided tape so that when I top stitch it right now, it will be all in line with each other. So I'll top stitch it right at the top of the seam and back stitch. And then what I do just for security purposes, I do it at 1/4 of an inch too. Okay, now I got a cute little strap. And I can't talk to it. I'm saying it's just one of those days, Shinova. Alright, so we have a cute little strap in. And let me change the position so you can see the magnitude of this basic Betty. So we have a cute little strap in where we can have our purse strap stopping and starting. We have a gorgeous interior pocket with the magnetic snap. We have nice pleats in the bag. We sewed our gusset is the strap, so that alone is pretty unique and fantastic all at once. You can make this with cotton, canvas, waterproof canvas, vinyl, leather, and cork. So many different options, and I really like this. Like, I think this will look really cute. Like if it had like a zipper back where you have a secret pocket. You have an option of putting 2 magnets in here. There's a lot of cool features on this bag. So this is the Basic Betty. If you have any questions in reference to it, please leave a comment down below. I do answer all my comments. And tell me what you would like to see me sew next. I would greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment, and share if you think it's worthy. It really does help your girl out. And I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see your basic baddies. Till next time, bye.